Let's talk about the worst food for the heart. This is even worse than sugar, but sugar's still bad for the heart. Now, some of you are probably thinking it's definitely the omega-6 fatty acids, right? Like the soy oil, the corn oil, those oils. And you're absolutely right. That would be even, comparable to sugar, if not worse. But there's something else that's even a worse version of these omega-6 fatty acids, and that would be the trans fats. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, I thought they'd banned them, didn't they? You don't see trans fats anymore in the food supply. But the FDA in 2015 no longer classifies them as generally recognized as safe because they caused some slight minor complications. And it's taken years and years and years and years to recognize the fact that these trans fats are really, really bad for the arteries. It majorly increases the risk for heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, cancer. It increases LDL and decreases your HDL. It creates inflammatory problems. It's been linked to autoimmune diseases, infertility, and even tendon and bone degeneration. But other than that, it's pretty safe. So when you read any label and you see partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated, you know you need to avoid it. But they're making this kind of liquid into a salad, and they use this in pie crust and popcorn and cookies and crackers and croutons. It's all over. And so industry has adapted to this, and they're definitely lowering the amount of trans fats, which is good. But it comes with the package, which we'll talk about. But you should know that every increase of trans fats by 2% in your diet, you dramatically increase the risk of getting a heart attack, or actually dying from a heart attack, by like 20 to 35%. So it's really, really bad for your heart because it kind of becomes part of your cells. It's no longer fluid, your arteries become rigid and hardened. They said these hydrogenated foods were to replace the saturated fats that were really, really bad. Like they were healthier than saturated fats. The only reason they did this is to increase shelf life. Now, you can take this unsaturated oil and you don't have to keep it in the refrigerator anymore, right? It's completely changed and it just lasts for a long period of time. Now, the interesting thing about this FDA claim is it doesn't include animal feeds, like animal food, even pet food or the chicken feed, the poultry feed, or feed for other animals. So you could be getting these trans fats indirectly by eating animals who have been fed these trans fats. They don't even know they're getting it. It's not even labeled as hydrogenated oils. And this is the problem. And so when you see something that says encapsulated citric acid, and you'd probably see this, in 99% of all the beef sticks, some of the sausages out there. And what that is a combination of citric acid and hydrogenated vegetable oils, which include trans fats. The other thing is that if you go to any fast food restaurant or even a regular restaurant, chances are you're going to be getting some of these trans fats, and they can accumulate in your body. But there's something else I want to talk about. It's a loophole that industry uses because of the creation of a definition of zero trans fats. You're allowed to have 500 milligrams of trans fats in one serving size to be able to claim that it has zero trans fats. So when you buy these products that say zero trans fats, it doesn't really mean zero trans fats. Let's look at this for a second. You have Ruffles potato chips, right? Very delicious. One serving size is basically 2 tablespoons of these potato chips. So Ruffles potato chips claim to have zero trans fats, right? But there's no way you can just consume 2 tablespoons, which is 1 serving of Ruffles potato chips. More likely, you're going to consume the whole bag. That's what everybody would do. So if you're eating the whole bag, you're going to be consuming a lot of trans fats, despite it saying zero trans fats on the label. Now, Western Price Foundation did some testing on some foods in the grocery store to measure how much trans fats are really in these foods. And so with Ruffles potato chips, they found preserving size. There were 3.7 milligrams of trans fats per gram of all the different fats. But that's just for 1 serving size, right? If we multiply that by the number of serving sizes, that really adds up. Ritz crackers, on the label, trans fats are 0. The serving size is 16 grams. And Western Price found when they did testing, 51.9 milligrams. Now with the Hostess donuts, which I'm sure you've eaten before, which have 0 trans fats, a serving size of 57 at 20.9 milligrams per serving size. I don't know about you, but can you just eat that one little donut? No, it's always multiple donuts at a time, like everybody does. And then we have Crisco shortening. This is interesting because Crisco shortening has been known for these trans fats, so they had to go back to their chemistry and redo the numbers and figure this out and reduce the amount of trans fats. But of course, what are they replacing that with? More saturated fats. Now, some of that maybe came from palm oil, but that's also replaced with artificial saturated fats. And that would be the hydrogenated, The fully hydrogenated oils that are not the partially hydrogenated. They don't have trans fats in there. But hydrogenated oils are like plastic. They're just very hardened, and your body does not do well on them either. With only one serving size of Crisco, they found the trans fats were like 11.9 milligrams per serving size. Then you get the margarine called Favorite Margin. They don't claim to have 0, but it's 1.5 grams. But when they evaluated the true amounts of trans fats, they found 116.8 milligrams per serving size. Now, you have to realize that just because they reduce the amount of trans fats in these foods, and even they replace it with saturated fats, and probably mostly artificial, they're still made from these omega-6 fatty acids, which are normally GMO. We have the soy, the canola, the corn oil, the cottonseed oil, and those are all heated and oxidized. And they use solvents with them, and they've been known to create a lot of problems and inflammation in your body, and so you just need to read labels. Be aware of what you're eating. When you go to restaurants, really make sure you order things that have no potential for having these trans fats, like even the croutons. Who knows? But these things can accumulate. They can affect your heart. They can affect your liver. So I hope you're a little bit more aware of these foods so you can avoid them and replace them with healthier fats. And I'm talking about healthy saturated fats. And by the way, saturated fats are healthy if they come from animals that are grass-fed. The grain-fed animals are going to be more inflammatory, but the fat that normally comes with the protein in nature is natural. And they've never should have been replaced by the saturated fats, and especially promoted as that being something healthier. And since most heart problems start with inflammation on the inside of your arteries, you should probably know more about ginger, which has this benefit of helping your most important organ. Check this video out to discover all the hidden benefits of the Sanchin root.